Here we are about a week out from Thanksgiving, and a lot of people just getting excited to see friends and family once again. And for some people, it's a little bit of angst in the back of your mind thinking, there might be those awkward conversations I don't really want to deal with. So Leslie M. is the author of Swagger, Unleash Everything You Are and Become Everything You Want. And we're talking about sort of avoiding those holiday pitfalls. So here's what I'm going to do, Leslie. I'm going to pose some potential awkward conversations and then let you answer them. So okay. Leslie, you seeing anybody lately?
Well, when I have to talk about my personal life, it makes me feel a little bit of little uncomfortable. I didn't know if you knew that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. So we're just going to let it go.
Do you think that, okay. So this plays out. If I had asked that question and you said that to me, then I would feel like the awkward one. Is that the goal? Like to make the question asker feel like, oh gosh, I was just trying to make conversation.
No, it's just to shut it down and to speak your truth. If it truly makes you uncomfortable, then you need to speak your truth, and you need to do it in a way that doesn't offend the other person, but it has clarity of intention.
That was definitely
clarity
clear.
Of intention.
I think that was totally clear. Now, what about for somebody who's saying, gosh, they're excited, maybe their son or their daughter just got married, they're wondering if they're going to have kids, and they say, oh, are you guys thinking about grandkids, or are we ever going to have grandkids? How would you address that?
Well, you know what? It's a conversation that we've had on and off. We haven't made any decisions yet, but we'll tell you as soon as we do.
You'll be the first to know.
Basically, don't ask.
I wouldn't say you'd be the first to know, because I might be lying.
Oh, okay. No, that's true. That's a really good distinction, Leslie. It is a good distinction, because what I'm hearing from you is honesty, right? You're approaching this with total honesty, and while it may make the person asking the question feel a little bit like, ooh, they may feel a little bit cringy about what they asked. They're getting an honest response as opposed to sort of going down this toxic road.
Well, that's it. And I think if you follow up with warmth and you bring everything back to normal, they're going to let it go too. Like if you've honestly let it go and just stated your intention and then go, so tell me what's going on with you. But you know what I mean? Like make it warm and fuzzy. People will forget that, because it's not a zinger. You're not trying to hurt them. You're just trying to boundaries.
I think that's really important, that it's not the zinger, because usually, I have to say, when people ask these, and these are all kind of like the hot topics that we're going through, this person usually means no harm. By asking about a grandchild, I don't know why that somehow became such an offense. Well, I do know why, because people deal with infertility and all these other things, but it's like, nobody's meaning harm by asking that. Nobody's meaning harm by asking, oh, are you dating anybody? It's just sort of like curiosity, but it does make some people feel uncomfortable.
Well, I found that every time, when we go back and hang out with our families, we are triggered by the way back, by the past, right? Things that happened to us when we were little kids still are triggers for us today. So if my mother was always all up in my business, or my auntie Susan was always all up in my business, and then all of a sudden she's the one who's asking me when I'm going to have kids, to me I was 6 years old and my auntie Susan's still up in my business. So I'm going to respond from that place of past pain. We got to remember that it's today, it's now, we're grown-ups.
Yeah, that's interesting, Leslie. That's a good perspective, and it's a good perspective for the question asker too, for that person who's maybe been whoever bothering you. What do you do when people try to bring up politics at the Thanksgiving table? What's your sort of a technique for just being really classy around that?
If you want to keep the peace, have a sense of humor. That is the best way to handle it. You let the person do their big rant or express their strong opinion or whatever, because, hey, that's their truth. It's what they believe. So, hey, you do you, boo. And then you smile and you laugh and you go, oh, Uncle Hal, you do love stirring it up. You do love a good controversy. Gotta love that about you. You are not afraid to speak your truth. You do you, boo.
Okay, so I feel like we got a few different techniques. Leslie M., thank you so much. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I hope that all of your chatty aunties mind the business and read the book, Swagger, Unleash Everything You Are and Become Everything You Want. Have a good holiday, Leslie.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's your website, LeslieM.com, and then on social media at Leslie M. Speaks. Yolanda, I saw you giving some big nods. I feel like you must have some invasive aunties.
Oh, my God. Everything she was saying, she was just on point. You do you, boo. I love that. I say that all the the time.
I want to be a fly on the wall at Thanksgiving dinner. I want to actually see her confronted with one of those difficult questions. I loved her. Shirley MacLaine had said this for a long time. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something like, you think you figured out the meaning of life until you go home to the Thanksgiving dinner table.
Oh my gosh.
And then you revert right back to being a child and the way you react to some of the questions that are posed to you. And she touched on that. I think that's so true.
Yes.
I just
So
think
spot
we
on.
have to remember too that usually that person, that question asker, usually does not mean harm.
No.
They usually don't. People get so offended by these questions. Usually they care about you and they want to know, you know. But I did love Leslie's techniques. We'll be back with more right after this.